Hello, good morning, everyone. So here is Chu from Quantitative Academies. So we'll be the speaker for today. So thanks, first of all, thanks for your participation in this workshop for the data visualization using Excel. So just for information, this is a workshop under the Make Data Fun Again workshop series under Quantitative Academy. So hi everyone that are participating in this workshop. Okay, so let's begin our workshop for today. Okay, so when we talk about data visualization, so if let's say you have this question or this sentence in your mind saying that, I have a lot of data, just I do not know how to use them. So for sure, you need to come to this workshop. Is the first step that you could be coming in. So for the data, first of all, we will talk about data visualization. So data visualization is always the simplest and the most efficient way to turn your data into actionable information. So if let's say you are talking about data, there are basically three main panels, three main areas. So first of all is the data visualization, and you have the data analytics and you have the data engineering. But data visualization is always the first step or the simplest step when we want to play around with the data and generate information. So data visualization can actually give you an actionable insight or information. Okay, so what is a data visualization about? So data visualization is always, I can say, to be an interactive dashboard. So a good visualization can be using an interactive dashboard that will tell the story about your data, because whenever we have the data, we have some story to tell to our audience. So interactive dashboard will always be a very good tool to tell the story about our data. That's why we are now here to actually have that interactive dashboard to visualize or to tell the story about your data. And the most important thing, how about the tools? So whenever we want to talk about, I want to do visualization. So what are the tools that I can use? So today we are going to start with the tool that everyone can be familiar with, the powerful Excel. So I believe no matter you are using Microsoft or you are using Apple, so most of us will be using the Excel as our way to visualize the data, correct? Okay, so do not limit yourself to explore the ability of Excel. Excel can do a lot of things. So you will be surprised by this, everyone can do too. So I believe, every of us are using the Excel now. And let's begin our challenge to review the true power of Excel. Okay, so talking about this, so today we are going to use Excel to actually do some interactive dashboard to visualize our data. So a few steps that we are going to go through. So today contents, we are going to have basic data preparation by using format as table. And then we will be introducing through the pivot table and pivot chart. So if you have encountered this before, that means that you know what is pivot table, you know what is pivot chart. That is the best thing. And of course, we are going to explore a few basic types of chart. So in our in our workshop for today, the 2-hour workshop, we are going to have the basic charts of pie chart, line charts, and bar charts. And finally, we are going to teach some charts formatting so that you are able to put this chart, every chart, into an interactive dashboard by using Slicer. So basically, these are our contents for today. Okay, so are you ready? All right, so everyone, you can interact with me through the chat. So welcome everyone to the live workshop of a data visualization using Excel. So you can always interact with me through the chats. All right. And this is under the Make Data Fun Again workshop series. And this workshop series will be having every 2 months once on different topics. All right, so let's begin. Okay, so we shall begin with our use case. So everything started with the business case. So our use case for today is the bicycle. So you are the marketing manager of Bicycle, a company that sells bicycle. You can know from its company name, right? So it's a company that sells bicycle and the accessories such as clothing or other accessories to the bikers in 6 countries. So we are having a quite a big business over the 6 countries. And then you would like to view the company product portfolio and also sales performance over the 6 years. So we have data from 2015 and until 2020. And to do this, you have gotten the data, and now it's your job to present this data in a compelling manner. So now we are going to step into the Excel. So just for information, the Excel version that I use for today is Microsoft Office 365. But then if let's say you have other version of Excel, it's totally fine. Okay, so as long as it's Excel above 2010, then it will be supported. All right, so to ensure everyone will be following us, since this is a workshop, so you are going to get your hands dirty and you are going to follow me to do all the steps. Okay, so to make to let you to have the all this Excel work file. Okay, so let's see what we are going to do for the next. Okay, so at the beginning, you are going to have a data look like this, a very common data. So you have a data set of the date, you have your customer information, and you have the sales information of every and each transaction across the 6 years and across 6 countries. So you can have the product category because you are selling the bicycles, and so you can have bikes, you can have clothing, you can have accessories, and so on, and some description. And of course, you have the order quantity and the units cost. So yeah, this is a very common way of how we show our data in the Excel. So we're going to start from a data like this, and what we are going to do and complete within this 2.5 hour workshop will be ended with interactive dashboard like this. So we are going to have an interactive dashboard to show part of the information in the previous data set, but then we transfer it into some dashboard like this. So just for your information, what is meant by the dashboard is a board that can show data and interactive in the sense of I have 6 countries and also 6 year as mentioned earlier. So I'm able to actually tune. If let's say I just want to see the Germany sales, so I can just choose the Germany and then it will only show the Germany sales. So I would like to see the data from the year 2015 to 2018, then I can also see here. Okay, so this is what we are going to do and complete within the workshop today. Okay, so are you ready? All right, so for sure, I saw that someone asking, so hi Chu, are you going to give us the file for us to try? For sure, yes, because this is a workshop, right? So how are you going to get the file? All right, so where to get the Excel workbook? So you can go to the description box of this YouTube Live. So under here, you can see that there's a Show More button. So click at the Show More button. It will you are going to see a Gdrive access. So you can click onto this Gdrive access to get your data. Okay, so everyone, you can go to the description box, click on the Show More, and then you are going to see the Gdrive access to get the data. And do not forget, we have our Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and our website link here. So you can always click inside and view our profile and like and follow us to have more information. All right, so this is the Gdrive to get the data. All right, so in the Gdrive, you can see that there are several Excel files. So why there are so many? 8 Excel files. Are you going to use all of them? I would say it's not necessary yet. Okay, so these 8 Excel files are actually for a progressing workbook. So for example, now we are going to start with the 01, the step number 1. Start with pure data first. So after we have started with pure data, our first step will be format as table. So I will do the format as table here and you can follow my step. But if let's say you have something left out or you want to have a reference, then you can refer to the 02 workbook format as table. And after that, we are going to do the pivot table and pivot chart for a bar chart. So if let's say you need some reference of a true Excel workbook, you can also refer to here. Okay, so just for your just my suggestion, you can actually download all, but then you can start with the 01 workbook. Okay, so the rest will be for your reference. And if let's say you are joining halfway, and then you can actually go inside each of the workbook and then look at the results. All right, so everyone, have you get ready? So yeah, just for those who just joined, so welcome to the workshop. So we are in the workshop of a data visualization using a Excel. So as we know, Excel is a everyone can do tool. So we're going to make use of this Excel tool to visualize our data. So yeah, first of all, we are going to start with the data like this until to make it into an interactive dashboard. So everyone, you can follow my steps. And then where are you going to get the data? So it's inside the description box. You can go to the show more. And then there is a Google Drive link underneath. And inside the Google Drive, you can see a few files, Excel workbook here. So we are going to start from step number 1 until the final touch-up. Okay, so yeah, let's go to the, yeah, so everyone is ready, right? Yeah, cool. So you have already downloaded, yeah? All right, so now, yeah, let me share my screen to the Excel workbook. So I will be opening the 01 data file. Okay, so give me a few seconds. Okay, so yeah, this is the 01 data file. So we are going to start with a very raw data like this. So yeah, I have some questions from the chat. So from Diana. So you will share this video at the end of the sessions. Yeah, for sure. So this is a live session, recorded live session. So afterwards, you will be able to refer back to this live video. But then, yeah, for now, you are able to interact with me. If you have any questions, you can put in the chat box, and I will be alert with the chat box. Okay. All right. So yeah, a lot of people asking whether it will be recorded or not. Yeah, you are able to access to this video afterwards. So yeah. Okay, so some of you are still downloading, right? Okay, we will wait for 1 to 2 minutes to download all these Excel files. Okay, so for those who has already downloaded, you can actually browse through a little bit about this data set first to get yourself familiar. Okay, to get yourself familiar with the data set. So again, I will show here about our use cases. So our use cases is actually the bicycle. Okay, it's actually the bicycle company. So our bicycle company, we are actually having. Okay, so our bicycle company, we're actually having this data. So this data is a 6-year data. So 6-year data are from actually 2015 to 2020. Okay, so yeah, we have another question. Excel file can also be downloaded later or not? Yeah, yes, the Google link will be open later as well. Okay, so yeah, we have a 6-year data, and then we sell the bicycle and also the accessories and some clothing across 6 countries. So now, as a marketing manager, you would like to look at the sales performance. You would like to look at the revenue. So because here we have the unit price and we have how many quantity we sell and the cost. So yeah, so I guess everyone has downloaded at least for the 01 data file, right? So just for your information, you can see that this is a really, it's a data set which across more than 100,000 rows. Okay, more than 100,000 rows for 6 years, because we basically recorded each and single transaction. Of course, you are not going to present this data to your boss just like this. You are going to make it into a report. So for a more traditional way, so we will normally make it into a report, perhaps build some charts and then print it into PowerPoint. But then now, actually, you are able to embed the Excel work file into your presentation or into your report, so that the boss is actually able to go through the dashboard and then view whatever data they would like to view. All right, so let's get started. Let's go. Okay, first of all, whenever we have a data, so just for information, data shall be recorded nicely in a way you shouldn't be having, you should be having a header for sure. Header is the first row. Okay, so it's the first row. So you have the date, year, and so on. Okay, so and then after the header, you are going to have each of the value, each of the rows data points with their on values. And this value, I have already put it into a good way, meaning to say that there is no missing value. So because our course for today is for data visualization, so I will touch less on the data preparation part. Okay, so if let's say you are interested to know about the data preparation analytics, that will be another workshop. So today our focus is on the data visualization. All right, so first of all, if let's say for a common way of doing, maybe you will just start from a table like this. Today, I'm going to introduce a very good features in Excel, which is called Format as Table. So Format as Table is actually located at the Home tab. So let me just magnify. Okay, so at your Home tab, at the Excel Home tab, you are going to see on the right-hand side, there is a style. There is a Format as Table. This Format as Table is a very nice feature in Excel, but then it's always being forgotten. Okay, so how to get started? You can click on any of the cells that contain things, that contain the values. Any of them will do. And then you can click on the Home, at the Home tab, click on the Format as Table. Okay, click on the Format as Table. So you can see that whenever you click on the Format as Table, you are able to choose what is the style. Let's say, yeah, I prefer orange color. So I just click on the orange color, and you will see that it will automatically help you to identify where is the data. So you just need to click on any cell, and then it will help you to identify the whole table. Okay, that's why this is the cell number that represents your whole table. And of course, this data is having the header. That's why you can check my table has header. So what happened next after you click OK? So you will see that, yeah, your whole data, the whole data set until the end is formatted as a table. So what is the pros? What is the advantage of format as table? First thing, when you format as table, right, and when you scroll down, you can see that all the header name will be on the above. So it solves some problems where you do not need to really like freeze the cell to keep the header and so on. So it will actually on the top. And of course, it will provide you with the filter. So you can easily see the data, yeah, how many years of data I have, how many countries I have, and how many product categories that I'm selling, and so on. Second good thing about format as table. So now when you browse through your data, okay, so when you browse through your data, you can see that, yeah, after the column or after the row of your data set, you do not have any data, then it will not be formatted as table. Meaning to say, it will auto recognize the range of your table. And what happens if, let's say, I want to increase my data set. Okay, I want to increase my data set. Let's say now I'm go to the last row, right? So yeah, you do not need to follow my step here. I just demo for you because this will not affect our dashboard. So if let's say I have another data coming in, let's say for today. So today is the 30th of June 2021. So I have another data set comes in. It will automatically be recorded as the table as well. So everything, it will be auto-recorded as table. So this is why I like so much on the formats as table features. Okay, so I will delete this since that it's not for us lah. Okay, so I will delete this row. So just now, you do not need to follow my step here. Okay, so let me just refresh again. So what I have done. So what I have done just now was just click on any cell. Okay, click on any cell and then format as table. Click on the format as table and then choose your preferred style. Okay. So yeah, we have some questions here. Okay. So if let's say, yeah, after you format as table, right? If let's say you do not want to, okay, you have a question from Lynn. So if after that I decided not to have format as table, how to remove? So you just convert to the range. So, okay, when you click on any cells, there is a table design tab on the above. Okay, if let's say you want to convert back to normal range, you just click on this convert to range. Then it will convert back to the normal range. All right, so we have another question. So can we insert in the middle of the data? Yeah, for sure. If you want to insert in the middle of the data, you just select the whole row, right click, insert. And then you are going to have a row here. So you can see that there are something inside here is because I use a formula. Okay, you just right click and then insert will do. So I will remove this, yeah. Okay, so again, everyone, I just repeat again. What I have done is just click on any cell and then format as table. Remember to keep the default formatting. That means that you are going to have the header. Okay, so first good thing about format as table is it will automatically format. Second good thing, so now say that when you browse through the data set, you can roughly see that it's actually the transaction data for every customer, right? So now there is an order quantity. So how many quantity I have been selling to each of the customer, and as well the unit cost and unit price. For sure, if let's say we have two quantity, let's say for this row we have two quantity, and then we have a unit cost of 1,200 around there, I would prefer to have a sum, a total, okay, total cost and perhaps the revenue, because this is a unit price. I would like to have the total cost and revenue. So let's say I want to add another column behind. So let's say it's a total cost. Okay, total cost. And I press on enter. So you can see that automatically it will be detected as the new column. Okay, as a new column. And then some more good thing about format as table. Not only auto detect as a new column, when you want to insert formula. So let's say we know that total cost. Okay, so let me extend a little bit. So total cost should be the order quantity multiply the unit cost, correct? So that's give us the total cost, because how many quantity we sell and each of the unit cost multiply, and then we are going to get total cost. So you can freely add any formula. So for example, the total cost is equal to order quantity is this one. You just click on it and then it will automatically detect that it's an order quantity multiply with the unit cost. So just use your mouse over and click. So will be the order quantity multiplied by the unit cost. So you can see that the formula is a little bit different with the normal formula, as inside the format table, the table format, it will actually recognize the header name. So after you insert the first formula and then press enter, something surprisingly, you do not actually need to do it for every row. It will actually auto-detect for the rest of the row for the same formula, because the formula for each of the data rows should be the same. Okay, so this is how we do it. This is one of the very good advantage if I use the format as table. So every column can be added concurrently, and then it's free for me to think of I need to copy the formula to the other rows. No need. All right. So just for information, total cost is actually the order quantity multiply the unit cost. And for sure, so if you have done, you can come out with another column called revenue. And the revenue should be order quantity multiply the unit price. Okay, so now I'm going to come up with another column called revenue. So revenue, again, it will help me to put this as a format as table as well. So the formula will be equal to order quantity multiplied with the unit price. Okay, order quantity multiplied with the unit price. And again, when I press enter, it will actually duplicate all this formula to the other rows. All right, so this is a very good features of the format as table. Okay, so let me repeat again. So what I have done is just now to add the total cost and the revenue by using some formula inside. So total cost is the order quantity multiply the unit cost, whereas the revenue is the order quantity multiply the unit price. Okay, so it's just the normal way how you add the formula by using Excel. Yeah. Okay, in the normal one, this order quantity, it will just show you a cell name or the cell, the cell name. Like for example, order quantity is L2, it will just show you L2. But then you will need to like keep repeating. So format as table, it will treat everything as a table, and then it will help you to duplicate the formula. So now very easily you are able to get all this data done. Okay, the 2 column. All right, so another thing about format as table, after you have formatted as table, right, you can take note that at the top here, at the last tab, you will see a table design. Okay, you will see a table design. If let's say, take note that you need to select any cell within the format table. So if let's say you select some cell outside, you can see that I'm now selecting some cell outside, then you will not be having the table design. So you need to select the things, any cells inside the table, then you will be having the table design tab. Okay, so this table design tab is a very useful tab for you. For sure, at the very first beginning, you are going to have just now the convert to range, which is a question asked by just now, Lim. So about, I want to convert it to normal. I don't want the format table, then you can use this. And for sure, there is a table net. Okay. Always, whenever we want to do data visualization, if let's say you just have only 1 or 2 table or 1 or 2 charts, it's okay for you to leave your table name like this, table 1. But then if let's say you want to make it into a dashboard which you will need a lot of tables, you might be involving a lot of charts inside, I will advise you to name it properly. So for example, this table is a data table. So I will put it as a data table and then give it a name, says that this is my customer table, customer data. So always remember in your table name here, a good practice will be there is no space, there is no other symbol other than the underscore. Underscore is okay. So don't give any spaces here. So for a good practice. So I will just put it as here, data table underscore customer data. Okay. And then press enter. So it will be changing the table name accordingly. Okay, so next, another good thing about this is, we are able to do the summarize with the pivot table. So normally, if let's say you would like to create pivot table, you can use the insert pivot table. But if let's say you have formatted as the table format, then you can straight away use the summarize with pivot table. Okay, and of course, if let's say you have some data added, then you can always click refresh. All right, so now let me look at the chat here. Okay, so we have some question from Jeff. So if we insert data in between row and data is not in sequence, will the data be auto-sorted? Okay, so for the sorting, the data will not be auto-sorted yet until you sort it. So how to sort the data? You can click on the drop-down button. If let's say you want to sort according to date, then you will be able to sort according to newest from newest to oldest, or from oldest to newest. But then this one take some time to do the sorting, so I will not perform by now. Okay, so you can, if let's say you would like to sort, you can sort it from here. For any, if let's say you want to sort according to country, but normally in a data, the pure raw data, we don't perform sorting yet. We will perform sorting after convert it into the pivot table. Okay. So another question, if we have another file B linked to this table, so when we insert the column, will the formula in the file be updated as well? Okay, if let's say you insert at here, the file B will not be updated. But then if let's say you update in the file B, here will be updated. Because it's this file, the table 1 is linked to the file B. So a good practice again, normally we don't change the data table here, but we will make changes at the link, the most raw data. Okay, so if let's say you make the changes at your file B, then the data, when you refresh, the data will be appeared here. Okay, so you have some table name do not accept your rename. Okay, try not to put any spaces or any other symbol. If let's say it doesn't accept, then you just put a data table would be enough. Because as for this workshop, we will be only having one data table. And later we are going to have an others pivot table. So remember, do not have any spaces. Okay, do not have any spaces. And other symbol. Okay, so okay, you have one, you don't see the table design. You need to click at the middle of the data table, just you are going to see the table design here. Okay, you need to click on the data table, just will be able to see the table design. Okay, so yeah, if let's say you still face problem, no worry. So you can always go to the Google Drive just now. So after completing this step, right, I have actually saved the data, saved the workbook as the 02 format as table. So in other words, you can open the 02 format as table. Okay, 02 format as table, so that you are able to get all these changes. All right. So now if let's say you are unable to do something here, you are able to use the format, you can use the file 02 format as table. Okay. All right, so we will spend 1 to 2 minutes for those who haven't make until this step to open up the 02 format as table. So you can refer to my format as table 02 file to get all these changes, like you have the table design, the table name is already there, and also the formula for the total cost and revenue. So just to repeat again, so if let's say you are just joining this, you are able to get all this workbook under the description box in our YouTube description box. There is a Google Drive link. You can click inside and there shall be 8 Excel files inside. So now we are at the step number 2. So you can actually open up the 02 format as table workbook. Okay, so you can open up the 02 format as table workbook for the next steps. Okay. So yeah, some of you do not have table design, but you have designed it probably because of the version. My version is using the Microsoft 365. So perhaps the naming and also the position of these buttons will be a little bit different. So if let's say you have designed, but then you have the table name here, it's okay. So it's just because of the different version. And yeah, can you give the formula to get the revenue? Yeah, the revenue is order quantity multiplied with the unit price. Okay, so what is the purpose to set the table name? I think you are asking about this, right? The table name. So why do I change the table name instead of putting it as table 1? So for sure, if let's say you are just having the table 1 here, okay, there is no issue if let's say you have only one table. But if let's say you are going to do dashboard, so whenever we are doing dashboard, you might be facing an issue which you have like 10 tables. And if let's say you use table 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it could be misleading later. So a good practice is name your table properly every time when you do this dashboard or anything related to the data. So for my for my table here, I name it as data table customer data. Okay. Okay, so if let's say you have issue, you can actually download. Okay, you can actually download the 02 format as table. So after you download the 02 format as table and opening up, you should be able to get exactly the same thing as mine. Okay, so you will able to get the total cost and the revenue done here. All right, still loading workbook number 2. Okay, so the table name is data table customer data. Okay, data table customer data. Let me share in the chat here. Okay, so after this step, what we are going to do next is we are able to generate some aggregated data. What is meant by aggregated data? So now the data table is showing everything as a single transaction. If let's say now I'm going to see, I would like to see, from the product category, let's say I have 3 product category: accessory, bikes, and clothing. I would like to see what is the revenue generated from each product category. So what should I do? Okay, so what should I do? Now what we are going to do is I want to view the summary of the 3 product categories. So now I'm going to introduce you another very good features of Excel, which is pivot table. So my practice will be, after format as table, you can go to the table design, and then you will see the summarize with pivot table. Okay, summarize with pivot table. And you are able to click this, summarize with pivot table, and then there will be a message pop up. So select a table or range that you want to do. So you can see that, it will automatically help you to select the whole table. And if let's say just now you didn't rename, you will see table 1 here. If you have already renamed, you will see the table name here. So this is why I will encourage everyone to name your table properly. So next time it's easier, it's no hassle for us to do the next few actions. Okay, so I repeat one more time. So you can just click on anywhere of your data, and then at the table design or the design, then you can click the summarize with pivot table. So I didn't change anything here, but then just for explanation, it will automatically detect your table range, which is the data table underscore customer data for me. And then, the pivot table, I will be report to place at a new worksheet. Okay, a good practice will be putting it at a new worksheet. Okay, so I will just press OK. So after you press OK, you can see that, you are going to go to another new worksheet with a pivot table here. Okay, so let me just pause here for a moment so that you are able to follow. And at the same time, I will look at the chat. Okay, so we have one question that you have only you only have the one value of 540. Okay, so remember to format your table as table first. So to format as table, your data should be looking like this is formatted. And when you click on it, you should be getting the table design, format as table. Okay, remember to format as table. Okay, so if there is another question. So normally when you want to see the formula, you just press the F2, but now the F2 should be working. The F2 should be working. If it's not working, you can actually double click. Double click will actually enter the formula as well. Okay, double click or the F2 will do. Okay, so you need to click the format as table, but not just highlight and put color. So if let's say you have any question, you can actually contact me later. But then for now, you can actually download the second workbook, format as table, to continue first. Okay, and then you have another. Could not see the checkbox of create pivot table. Okay, so create pivot table will be at the table design, summarize with pivot table here. Okay, so so let's continue on the pivot table. So for this pivot table, what we are going to do next is we are actually interested to know at the product category, we have basically 3 product category: accessories, bikes, and clothing. We are interested to know what are the revenue, what are the total revenue for these 3 product category. Okay, so let's go to the sheet number 1, which you have the pivot data. All right, so when you form this sheet number 1, at the pivot table, you just click anywhere at the pivot table. You will see there is another pivot table fields. if you don't see this pivot table view, you can always go to the top. There is a pivot table analyze. Okay, so you just need to click on this view list to make sure you have the pivot table view. Okay, so when you look at the pivot table view, it has two portions. So the upper portion is basically your headers, your view. We call it the views. So the lower portion is actually how you would like to design your pivot table. So let's go now. So now we are going to actually see the product category. So in the product category, we have three product categories. We would like to see the revenue. So what you need to do is just click on the product category. Don't release your mouse. So just click, drag and drop it into the rows. Okay, drag and drop into the rows. Okay, into the rows. So later I will explain to you what is the filter, row, column, and value. So now let us have a look first. Then I will explain about what is rows, column, and values. So rows, drag the product category. Just click, drag and drop into the product into the rows. And then when you've done it, you can see that the pivot table has become accessory, bike, and clothing. So accessory, bike, and clothing are basically the category under the product category. So you can see here. So you can look at your data. So product category, we have accessory, bike, and clothing. Okay, so it will be showing here. So the rows here are anything you drag under the rows, it will be showing as the row in your pivot table. Okay, and next, what we are going to see for the value will be revenue. So again, we want to see what is the revenue for each product category. So what you can do is, click on the revenue, drag and drop into the values. Okay, drag and drop into the values. The values meaning to say that, I'm going to generate, what is the sum, the total of the revenue of the accessories. Okay, the total of bikes. Of the total revenue of the bikes, the total revenue of the clothing, and at the end, the total of everything. Okay, so let me just repeat again. So what I do is click on the pivot table. So I would like to see the revenue of the product category. So I will drag the product category under the rows and then drag the revenue under the value. Okay, under the values. And inside the value, it will automatically help you to see what you want to calculate. So say that now it will auto-detect to calculate the sum. If let's say you would like to calculate other things, like for example, the average, you can always click here, click at the drop-down button, the value field setting. So there are a few statistic that you can choose. You can choose either count, average, maximum, minimum, and so on. But then I will just remain as the sum. So this is just in case next time when you want to, if you want to show other type of aggregation, then you can show here, you can change here. Okay, so I will just remain as the sum of revenue. Okay, so now everyone, you should be having a pivot table of the accessory, of the category, product category, show each of the revenue of the product category like this. Okay, so next, what we are going to do is, I would like to show it not in a table format because now we are doing the chart, we are doing the dashboard. So I want to plot a chart. So how to plot a pivot chart based on this pivot table? So make sure that everyone, you have this accessory, bikes, and clothing pivot table already. So selecting any cells in the pivot table. So you can go to the above. You can see that there is a pivot table analyze. Okay, pivot table analyze. Okay, so there is at the right hand side, there is a pivot chart button. So you can just click on the pivot chart button, and then it will ask you, what type of chart you want to put in. So let's try the first and the recommended chart, which is the clustered column. Okay, so clustered column. So you just click OK after this. Just click OK. So you will see the pivot table appearing, pivot chart appearing here to show the accessories. So you might be saying that, this is something that I have done before, right? It's the same thing, like I do the charts and so on. hold on, later you are going to see the differences. So yeah, whenever we are creating pivot table and pivot chart, something very easy for formatting and then to change. Okay, so I just repeat one more time. So the pivot table, I'm creating it by dragging the pivot table fields into the rows and values respectively, and then clicking on any cell on the pivot table. There is a pivot table analyze tab at the top, and there is a pivot chart. You just click on it, and then I'm now using the column chart, so which is the default recommended chart. Okay, so we have one question here. Okay, quick show again how you create the row labels from the Excel into pivot. Okay, so I guess that you are talking about in the data. So how can I create into a pivot table, right? So you can click on any cell in the data and then go to the top table design. There is a summarize with pivot table. Okay, there is a summarize with pivot table. So once you click on this button, you can see a create pivot table pop-up windows, and then click OK, and then the pivot table will be generated at a new worksheet. Okay, so it will be generated at a new worksheet, and then yeah, this is a new worksheet, and whenever it is generated, you are able to drag your product category to the rows and also the revenue to the values. Okay. Oh, okay. So you cannot see my top row menu. Let me check across. Yeah. So do you mean that my top the tab here, the pivot chart analyze tab here? Yeah, which menu you are mentioning? Okay, so while waiting for the reply, okay, so now everyone, you can try and then form a pivot chart like this first. So after you form the pivot chart, we know that this is actually the sum, the pivot chart that show the sum of across the 6 years for each of the product category. So now, yeah, I think that a chart like this just show the total is not enough for me. I would like to actually show according to different years, because you can see that in the data we have different years. So I want to show across different years. So what should I do? Now I'm going to show you how to use the pivot table column. So everyone, you can point your cursor to the pivot table. Okay, point your cursor to the pivot table. And then at the pivot table here, now I want to show the year, right? So you can drag the year, okay, drag the year, the field of the year into the columns. Okay, drag the year into the columns. So again, let me redo it. So select any cell in the pivot table. Make sure that you are selecting in the pivot table. And then at the pivot table fields, drag and drop the year field into the column. And then automatically, you can see that both pivot table and pivot chart will be react accordingly. Okay, will be react accordingly. Okay, so the pivot table will show the sum of the revenue, the total revenue across 6 years for each of the product category. Same goes to your chart. So now your charts will be showing across 6 years, okay, for each of the product category. Now, you can see that if let's say you are using this pivot table to generate a pivot chart, whatever changes that you made in the pivot table, it will be reflected in the pivot chart. This is somehow different from a normal chart. A normal chart, it's not being able to interact so directly to the pivot table, and you might need to replot again or change select data again. So this is a very direct, straightforward way. Okay, we have questions. So after getting the pivot chart and you make some refresh in the data tab, will it be auto reflect, or you need to refresh or create the pivot again? Okay, the question will be, if let's say now the data set I add another year, let's say like 2021 into this data table. So in this pivot table will it be reflected? Okay, the answer is you will need to go to the pivot table analyze and refresh. Okay, so at the refresh here, there is a refresh or refresh all. So if let's say you just want to refresh this particular pivot table, then you just click refresh. If let's say if you have like 10 pivot tables and 10 pivot charts, you want to refresh all, then you will click the refresh all to refresh all the pivot tables across this workbook. Okay, so you can click on this refresh to do the refreshing. Of course, you can actually press the F5 to do the refreshing. It will be a shortcut. And yeah, we have another good question. Yeah, what is the difference between insert pivot table? You have this insert pivot table. Okay, pivot table is pivot chart is somewhere here, and also inside the pivot table analyze summarize as pivot chart. So what is the differences between the insert pivot chart and also the pivot table analyze pivot chart? The differences is the linkage. So if let's say you are using the pivot table analyze to insert the pivot chart, then it will be actually linked directly. And also if let's say you are using the data table to do the summarize with pivot table, the setting, you do not need to really take care about the setting of your pivot table or pivot chart. It will be set according to the default setting. So it's straightforward. Okay. So yeah, we have some audience just joining. So let me repeat again. So the Excel that I'm using here is Microsoft 365, but then it should be okay for any version as long as it's above 2010. And then if let's say you would like to get the Excel files, you can look at the description box. Show more at the description box. There is a Google Drive link in the description box. You are able to get the data files, the work files there. Okay. All right. So now, okay, let's move on. Okay, so yeah, you are talking about the menu represent the home, insert, and so on. Okay, perhaps if let's say you are using a different version, the naming of the header, the menu could be a little bit different. Please take note on that. But then you can see a similar one. Okay, so yeah, so just to make sure with everyone, so can you see my header here? It might be smaller. You can make it full screen if let's say you are watching YouTube, or yeah, necessary, I will actually zoom in for you to have a closer look on this menu. Okay. So okay, some of you are just having 1 year. Okay, so I'm not sure whether 1 year that you are having, is it due to your data table? Yeah, please make sure that your data table you are actually having across the whole thing. And then yeah, it's okay if let's say you are unable to do it now, but you want to continue. This is actually the step number 3. Okay, 03 pivot table and pivot chart for the bar chart. Okay, pivot table and pivot chart for the bar chart. So if let's say you are having some issue, you can start from there and then do the referencing to that particular workbook. Okay. So yeah, you don't have the column table. I just only have legend table. Okay, so if let's say your pivot table only show 1 year, if you didn't use my 02 file, that means that your format as table do not work well. I mean, when you do the format as table, you are actually selecting a range, then just format as table. Please don't do that, but just selecting one cell and then format as table. Make sure that the range after you select as format as table is the correct one. Okay, so you just have the legend table. Okay, yeah, one good question again. So some of you might just see that there is no column, there is legend and axis. It's because you are selecting chart. So remember, if let's say you are selecting pivot chart, then it will show legend. axis instead of column and row. So if let's say you are choosing the pivot table, then it will show you column and rows. Okay, show you columns and rows. Yeah, it depending on which one you are choosing. So it's either a pivot table or a pivot chart. Pivot chart will be legend and axis. And of course, these two are linked together. Okay, these two are linked together, meaning to say that in a pivot table, the column referring to the legend, the row referring to the axis. Yeah, okay. So yeah, hope that everyone doing well for this. So yeah, one more question. Can we drag two items from the pivot table in the value box? You can. Yeah, you can, but make sure that it's an aggregatable, aggregatable fields. You can. Yeah. So the legend is actually the charts referring to the chart, and it will reflect the data shown in the columns of a pivot table. Whereas in the chart, the axis will be showing the data that you have in the rows in your pivot table. Okay. Yeah, legend is column, axis is row, depending on you are choosing table or charts. Okay. So now, yeah, earlier someone asked about the table name purpose. So it will not use here. Actually, just now you have already used here. If let's say you realize just now when you create the pivot table, it will ask you where is the data you would like to create. So for example, when you go to the data table here, and then you want to summarize with pivot table, it will ask you already what is the table you want to create. So if let's say you didn't name properly, it will just come out with table 1. So for sure, this data, the name of the table does not really show its usage right here. Later, when we are working on the filtering, the slicer, then you can see a lot of the a lot of the advantage of name properly. So please be patient on that. So for sure, talking about naming. So pivot table, we will name it appropriately also. Okay, so now if let's say you have already come up with these charts, so now let's go to the naming. So you can click on any cell in the pivot table here. So again, at the top bar, you have the pivot table analyze. You have the pivot table analyze here, correct? So click on it, and then the naming is available at the left-hand side, pivot table 1. Now it's actually named as pivot table 1. So a good practice would be I will put it underscore. So let's say this is a revenue by product category. Okay, this is a revenue by product category. So I will just put the name as revenue by product category. So I will share this in the chat box. Yeah. So remember to press enter. Okay, so it's a pivot table, revenue by product category. Okay, so of course, same thing for the pivot chart. Okay, same thing for the pivot chart. So when you click on the pivot chart, select the pivot chart, and then at the top here, pivot chart analyze tab. Okay, click on the pivot chart analyze tab, and then you will see the chart name. So I will put the same name, which is just now is pivot table. So here I will put a pivot chart underscore revenue by product category. Okay, pivot chart product revenue by product category is exactly the same name as just now pivot table, just that you use the pivot chart for now. Okay, so the naming appropriately, and of course not to forget the worksheet name as well. I will doing the same thing, pivot revenue by product category. This one cannot be too long because there are some limitation of the words. So I will put the pivot underscore revenue by product category. So the reason is later we are going to create more charts, and we are going to have a lot of sheet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So good practice will be naming accordingly. Yeah, so for the naming, I will recommend do not have space. For this worksheet, still okay lah, you can have the space. But then for the chart name, you couldn't have any spaces inside. For the worksheet name is okay, you can have space, but I just want to standardize, so I didn't put any spaces here. Okay, so now we have created our first pivot chart and the pivot table. Okay, so next what we're going to do is, you can look at this pivot chart. Perhaps, when you look at here, this is actually the filter. But then I don't want to do any filter, and these buttons looks quite annoying to me. So I would like to do some formatting to the charts. So now I will show how to do some formatting of the charts. Okay, so for pivot chart, you select the pivot chart here, and then go to the top. There is a design. Okay, there is a design. And also there is a format and the pivot chart analyze. We are going to make use of these 3 tabs to actually do the formatting. So first of all, this sum of revenue, product category, and year, I would like to remove. So these are actually called fill buttons. So now the fill buttons is selected. That's why you have all this. So if let's say you click on the fill button one more time, deselect it, you can see that everything is actually taken out and you do not have that buttons anymore. So it's not necessary to be taking out all these buttons every time, just because now I don't wish to see it, so I can actually remove it. So to make my charts looks cleaner. And of course, I would like to add some chart name and also the axis. So where to add the chart name and the axis will be at the design. Okay, at the design here. So for sure, there are a few standard design for you to choose. Or if let's say you just prefer this one, and then I want to add some chart element of, let's say, the chart title. Okay, chart title above the chart. So you can just click on it, and then there will be the chart title above the chart. So for mine, I will do some formatting here. So I will remove the, I have removed the buttons of the pivot buttons and the chart title add in. So I will name it as revenue by product category. Okay, revenue by product category. Okay, so everything as a whole will be looking like this. Okay, so let me repeat again. So for the pivot chart analyze, few buttons, under the pivot chart analyze tab, there is a few button. If you click it on, select it on, you will see this sum of the revenue, product category, and year. It's basically the field that you enter in the legend, axis, and value respectively. So if let's say I don't want to see them, I just unclick. Okay. And of course, if let's say you would like to add some title, you can go to the design tab on the top menu, design tab, and then add the chart element. There are a few. So now says that I want to add the chart title. So above the chart, I just click above the chart and then rename it accordingly. So this is some formatting that I normally will do. And of course, the chart title, I might want to bold it, okay, to make it more obvious. So you can just bold it, Control B, or you can go to the home here, like normally how you format your words. So let's say I want to bold it, and then I want to make it into a different color. Let's say I want a dark blue color. And then I don't like actually the Calibri wording. Let's say I want to make it into, let's say, the Area Nova. So I can just change accordingly. And then I want to make it bigger or smaller. It's up to us. So for sure, you might say that, the axis, I don't want to bold it. I just want to bold the top. Okay, you just unbold it. Okay, so you can actually freely choose which one you want to bold, which one you don't want to bold, and so on. Okay, and of course, you can also change the wording. Let's say this one, I just want to keep it as Calibri. And then the top, I want to keep it as Area Nova. It's up to you for you to do the formatting. So just a very good suggestion for you. Formatting is very important when you want to do the dashboard because this is a first glance. So normally I will keep the formatting good. And one more thing here is when you look at the axis, it shows too many zero, which is not a good way of data presentation. So if this one is a 2 million, 4 million, and so on, it's too many zero. It's very hard for us to read. So is there any way I can format it? For sure, yes. Okay, you can right click, format axis. Okay, right click, format axis. and you will see the format assist panel showing here. Okay, so this 000, we call it the display unit. Okay, you can find that in the assist option, there is a display unit. So now say that I want to change it into millions, since that every of my data, it shows million. So I will change it into the millions. So you can see that, yeah, everything is inside million now. So it's clear, it's clean and clear. Okay, and of course, I can actually change this. So I can change it into like, yeah, this is the revenue. Then I put a bracket in millions USD. Let's say like this is a USD. So in million USD. So everything is clear. So revenue in million USD, and you can freely design where you want it to be lah. And then, of course, perhaps you want another design, which is to add the product category down here. Okay, you want to add the product category. So we call it the assist title. Okay, we call it the assist title. Under the design tab again, at the add chart element, there is an assist title. So we call it the horizontal title. So click on it, and then you will see the assist title here. You can name it to be product category. Okay, you can name it to be product category. So for sure, this formatting, I will let you to, yeah, freely try out later. So what kind of things that you want to put it here. So two important points to remember is anything that you want to add to your pivot chart, always go to design. There is a add chart element here. You can freely design your chart here. For the color as well, you can choose different color palettes. So let's say I like blue color, so I will change to the blue color palettes here. And if I like colorful, I can referring back to the first color palette. Okay. So now you can see that a more attractive chart is being formed. All right. So yeah, this is how we actually plot our first bar chart. All right. So I'm now in the 03 format. 03 pivot table and pivot chart for the bar chart. Okay. So yeah, if you have any question, you can put it in the chat. And for now, what we are going to do is we are going to see that, yeah, from these accessories, bikes, and clothing, can you find out some insights? The insights is actually due to, okay, you can see that accessories and clothing are in a lower amount, but then the bikes is actually in a higher amount. So perhaps you are actually interested to look into the bytes. Okay, look into the bytes. And from the data, we can see that for the bytes here, so for the product category bytes, we have something called the frame size. Okay, so for sure, this required to have the domain knowledge. So if let's say you are selling the bytes, we know that all the bytes will be having the frame size, but the clothing and accessories do not have the frame size. So now what am I going to do is, for the bytes category, I'm going to further analyze according to different frame size. Okay, I repeat again. So now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to further analyze the bytes into different frame size. So again, I will be creating another pivot chart of the frame size. Okay, for the frame size. So you can go back to the data. Now we are going to create another chart. So we do need another pivot table. Okay, so everyone, you can actually, based on just now how we create the pivot table for a revenue by product category, now you can create another pivot table for revenue by frame size. Okay, by frame size. Okay, so at the same time, I will answer some questions. So you cannot find the add element in the design. So you can go to the design. Okay, if let's say there is no add element, it should be naming as another one, because again, this is according to the Excel version. Or you can actually just do a quick layout. A quick layout will actually help you to actually form different type of formatting. So you can actually click on any quick layout to actually have all these assists and so on. All right, So yeah, let me show you how to do the by frame size. So again, at any place in the Excel, okay, any place in the Excel, remember to choose the cell with the data format as table, yeah? So at the table design, again, at the table design, click summarize with pivot table. Click summarize with pivot table. And then, yeah, again, I will be using the data table of customer data for the new worksheet. Okay, so now we have the pivot table number 2. So now what we are going to do is we want to do the revenue by frame size. So again, same thing. At the pivot table field, you can see that there is a frame size. Okay, you can see that there is a frame size here. Put it into the rows. Okay, put it into the rows. And then again, the revenue, put it into the values. So just now we were at the product category. Now we are at the frame size. Okay, we are at the frame size. Okay, so this is everything about the frame size. And yeah, you can see that, yeah, now we have different frame size and the sum of the revenue. So same thing again, I want to create a pivot chart from here. So I will just choose any cell in the pivot table, click at the pivot chart. Okay, at the pivot table analyze, click at the pivot chart. So for the frame size, let's say I would prefer a horizontal bar chart. Okay, a horizontal bar chart. So you can see that there are a lot of the charts to be chosen here. So you need to know, what are the type of the charts you want to build. Okay, and then for let's say now I want to build a horizontal bar chart. Okay, so yeah, you can choose the horizontal bar chart here, cluster bar, and then click OK. So a pivot chart will be appearing here again. Okay, a pivot chart will be appearing here again. But then what can you see from here? So if you enlarge this pivot chart, you can see that there is a very long bar chart here. Okay, a very long bar chart here. What is that exactly? So a very long bar chart, but then you can see that there is no frame size. Okay, there is no frame size for the very long bar chart, meaning to say that there is actually a frame size equal to nothing and the revenue is very high. So what is actually this? Is because in our table, there are something without the frame size, which is the clothing and accessories. Remember, only bikes have the frame size. Clothing and accessories do not have the frame size. Only bikes, because we have the cycle, right? So we have the frame size. So that means that in your pivot chart just now, the very long bar chart is actually referring to those is not the bike. So now, since that we are creating this bar chart because we want to further analyze into the highest revenue, which is the bikes category. So we are actually need to take out. We do not want this blank frame size. So in a pivot table, you are freely to actually filter it. Okay, you are freely to filter it. So you can go to the row labels here, click on the button. And down here are actually the category for you to filter. So you can see that there is a blank. You just untick it. Okay, untick the blank. Okay, untick the blank. And then click OK. So you can see that, yeah, now the blank has been removing and then it only shows whatever you have the frame size. So the key point here is, inside a pivot table, if let's say you would like to exclude any particular category, you are able to do it by filtering, okay, by doing this filtering, okay, and then the pivot chart will be react accordingly. Okay, so yeah, at the moment here, I will answer some questions. Okay, so how to change the left side of the value to remove the 0, 0, 0? Okay, later I will show this again when we want to format the axis here, yeah? So to remove the long 0 here, I will show it again for this chart later. And can I rearrange the graph column from highest to lower? Yeah, you can rearrange the highest to lower by actually sort it. So you can actually sort the sum revenue. You can just sort A to Z if let's say you want to sort A to Z, or if let's say you want to sort according to the value, then you can just sort according to the value. Okay, so you can just sort according to the value. So all these things can be actually adjusted in the sort inside. Okay. So yeah, we have another question. What is the summarize with pivot table for. So if let's say from this data table, the summarized for pivot table is actually at the table design. So if let's say you have so many data, each transaction one data, so it's very hard for you to see like what is the total revenue across 1 year, what is the total revenue for bytes. So if let's say you want to summarize all these things, you need a pivot table. That's why you need to summarize with pivot table. Okay. So we have another question, how to differentiate the row, column, and value. So you are meaning to say the row, column, and value. So value is the numbers you want to sum up. For example, I want to sum up revenue. Okay, so revenue will be inside your value. And you want to sum up the revenue according to what? According to frame size. So I will put the frame size in the row. For sure, can you put it in the column? Yeah, you can. If let's say you have 2 dimensions, meaning to say that I want to look at the sum of the revenue according to frame size and according to year. So the year, you can put it in the column. So if let's say you put the year in the column, then it will be showing like this. Column is the year. So you can see that the year is showing across the column. The frame size is showing across the row. And then the revenue is the value inside here. So how to differentiate the column, rows, and value? Column will be something show across column. Rows will be something show across the rows. And then the value will be the value appear here, the aggregated, what you want to summarize. Okay, so I will take out the year for this chart, yeah, this particular chart. And then, yeah, for one question, blank is clothing and accessories. Yes, you are correct. Just now I filtered out the blank. Blank is actually for clothing and accessories. Because why? Clothing and accessories do not have the frame size. Only the data have, the bytes have. And why are we going into the bytes? Is because byte is having the highest revenue. So we are interested to look into the bytes to further split it out. Okay. Okay, so yeah, same thing here. So for this chart, I would like to do some formatting. So same thing, I will remove the buttons. Okay, I will remove the button. Yeah, you can either click on the top part of here. So you can see that there is a drop down and also a top part. So you click on the top part, it will actually hide everything. Or you can click the hide all, it's the same thing. Okay, so after I hide the buttons, again, I want to take care of the chart title. So this is the revenue by frame size. So I just change it and then bold it. And again, I want to do some formatting. I want to do some formatting. So let's say it's an Arial Nova. Let's say I use the Arial Nova. And then, of course, I don't want this legend because this legend is only showing total. Is annoying there. So I just need to select and delete it. So no need the total because the total is just telling you this is a revenue by frame size. And next, yeah, just now someone asked a question about how to remove the 0 here, right? So to remove the 0 here, you can select this axis. Make sure that only the axis is selected. The number here is selected. You can see that there is a small frame here. Right-click, format axis. Okay, right-click, format axis. And then at the side, you can see that there is an axis option. So the display unit, I will again change it to millions because all of my revenue are showing in millions. So I will change it to millions and then it will change to millions as I requested. And then for this one, I will again rename it to be revenue. Okay, revenue. And then in millions USD. Okay, change it properly. And then perhaps I want to again add the chart title, the axis title. So I go to design, add the axis title. Okay, so this axis title, I will put a frame size. Okay, so these are actually everything is just the formatting. So formatting, you are not necessary to follow my formatting. You can actually have your own formatting, yeah? Okay, so now, naming again. So I will do all this naming. So you can either follow me or you just want to put it as your own formatting. Yeah, it's up to you. But I will name it as the pivot chart. Okay, I will name it as the pivot chart underscore revenue by frame size. For my chart, and of course for my pivot table, I will name it as the pivot table revenue by frame size. Okay, so the naming also, you are not necessary to follow my naming. And after you do the naming, you please make sure you have pressed enter to make sure the naming is do accordingly. And of course, at the worksheet name here, I will do pivot revenue by frame size. Okay, so yeah, now we have already done 2 bar charts. Next is, I don't want to view my bar chart separately in 2 different worksheets. Okay, what I want to do is, I want to make it into a single dashboard. So what should I do? Okay, now everyone, you can go to the bottom. There is at the Excel of your bottom of your Excel, there is a create new worksheet, right? So you can create another new worksheet. So normally I will name it as a dashboard. Okay, let's say now I'm going to create a dashboard for my just now the 2 charts. So I will add another new worksheet, name it as a dashboard. Okay, so after naming as a dashboard, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the 2 charts that I have created previously into the new dashboard. So you go to the worksheet where you have the charts and then cut it out. Straight away cut it out, doesn't matter. And then paste it in the new worksheet of the pivot. Okay, paste it in the new worksheet of the pivot, of the dashboard, sorry. Okay, so same goes for the frame size. Frame size also, you can cut it and then put it in the dashboard. Paste it in the dashboard. So now you can see that you will be having 2 charts side by side. So for sure, we haven't get the interaction yet. Later, we are going to get the interaction. Okay, so this is how we actually create a pivot chart with a nicer formatting. Like, for example, you add the charts, names, and so on. So later, what I'm going to show you is, yeah, this is for the product category. So you are able to see that product category, the highest revenue is by the product category equal to bytes. And then when we look into the bytes, there are a few frame size. And then I want to actually look into the frame size, into the bytes category and for the frame size. Oh yeah, so maybe you can add something here because this is only for the bytes, right? So I will add something here to say that this is only for product category equal to bytes. So only for bytes. And perhaps I would like to make this in a smaller font. So yeah, it is just like a subtitle. Okay. So yeah, this is a revenue by frame size for bytes only. Okay, so now I have already put my two of the bar charts side by side. Okay, so until now, I have actually completed the 03 pivot table and pivot chart bar chart. Okay, you have the 03 workbook. So if let's say you are lefting out somewhere, you can actually open up the 03 workbook. Okay, my 03 workbook will be stopped at here. All right, so next what we are going to do is, yeah, we are going to create more charts by using the pivot table and pivot chart. So what are the more charts that we are going to create? So again, go back to the data. So yeah, there are many more things that we can actually explore through this data set. So next, what we are going to do is we are trying to get the revenue across country. Okay, so since that we have 6 countries, so we have 6 countries that selling our goods, our bicycle. So I want to visualize what is the revenue for the 6 countries. So what should I do? Okay, again, same thing. Select any cells in the data table, go to the table design, summarize with pivot table. Okay, summarize with pivot table and click OK. So now you are having a new pivot table again. So this new pivot table, I'm going to look across for the country. Okay, look across for the country. So I will be going to this pivot table fields. For the country, I will putting it at the row. Okay, and of course, the revenue will be putting it as a value. So I will be generating the country and the value here. correct? The country and the value. So next, I'm going to show it. Okay, I'm going to show it. So let's say now I would like to show the country and the value across different years. So it will be good for me to use a line chart. So actually line chart is very good to use when you want to compare across time series and then you want to compare different countries, let's say. So now I'm going to do the line chart, yeah. So again, same thing, clicking on any place in the pivot table, you can go to the above pivot table, analyze pivot chart. Okay, pivot chart. So here I'm having a choice of the line chart, and let's say I want to use line chart with marker. So you can choose. There are many line charts here. Let's say I want the line chart with marker. Okay, just the formatting. So with marker meaning to say that each of them I will be having the dots for each of the country and also the years. Okay, so line chart with marker and click yes. So you will see this thing coming out. And of course, just now I said that I want to go across different years, right? So of course, I'm able to add the year into my series. Or if let's say you are now choosing pivot table, it's a column. Now I'm choosing a pivot chart. That's why it shows me a series. For sure, you can show it. If let's say you choose the pivot table, then it shows column. But then you would like the year inside here. Okay, so now you might be confusing. Why confusing? A line chart, just now I mentioned that I would like to show the line across different year. But then now it's like not correct. It's switching over, correct? I should be actually having the year and my x-axis, and then the legend, I mean the line, each line represent the country. So how should I do if let's say this happened? I want to switch across the legend and the axis. Okay, very easy things to do in the pivot table is you do not really need to switch here and there. You can just select anywhere in your pivot table, and then in the pivot chart, let me check. So in the pivot chart, so it's inside the pivot chart, and then at the design here, you can see that there is a switch row or column. Okay, at the pivot chart, there is a design tab, there is a switch row and column. So when you click on the switch row and column, it will automatically help you to switch across the country and also the year. Of course, if let's say you don't want to use this method, you want to actually switch according to the axis and the legend, you can do it as well. You can like freely switch here and there. It's the same thing. Okay, you can do like dragging here and there. Okay, that is the same thing. So now you are actually getting the lines, okay, the lines with across different years for each of the country. Okay, for each of the country. Okay, so for this one, again, you can do the formatting like just now what you did. So take out the fill button, add the title, the axis, and so on. Okay, so and also you do the naming appropriately. So the pivot table, you name it as revenue by country. Okay, revenue by country, send to the pivot chart and the worksheets. Okay, so now let me go to the chat box. Okay, so you missed out how to create a dashboard. Okay, let me repeat again. So to create a dashboard, you just need to actually add another worksheet. Okay, add another blank worksheet and then name it as dashboard first. Okay, name it as dashboard. So I have named it here, so I will just skip this one. Okay, you create a new worksheet and then name it as dashboard. So you will be getting a blank thing here. Then what you are going to do is you just cut your chart and then paste it into the worksheet. Okay, cut the chart and then paste it into the worksheet. Arrange it accordingly. Okay, so let me do some formatting. So just now I just removed the fill button. And then let's say this one again, I don't want it to be so many zeros. I will display it in the millions. And then again, I will name it as revenue and bracket in millions USD. Okay, and of course, let's say I would like to make some design at the chart title. Chart title is revenue by country. Okay, and then I could be having another x-axis title is the year. Okay, and then overall I want to standardize because previously I was using another font type, so I just want to standardize using another font type here. Okay, so yeah, it looks nice now. So again, it's the same thing. Now I'm going to cut this line chart. Okay, cut this line chart and put it into my dashboard. Okay, put it into my dashboard. So I just, remember when you paste, right, you need to choose a single cell here. Don't select this pivot chart and then paste. You are going to replace. So remember to select at any blank cells and then just paste it. Okay. Remember on your selection, you have to select at any blank cells and then paste it. So let's say I will put it inside here, revenue by country. Okay, so now in our dashboard, we have the revenue by product category, we have the revenue by country, we have the revenue by frame size for bytes. And then next, we are going to create another one for pie charts and numbers on top. Then we are going to build our slicer to make everything interactive. Okay. So if let's say you are going to do some formatting, okay, you are going to do some formatting right here, you can also do it here. Not necessary to do it at just now the worksheets. You can do it anywhere. Okay, so yeah, I will be going a little bit faster here because actually I was repeating what I have done in the product category and the frame size. Yeah, like just now I do the formatting to get it into millions and then add the chart type and also do the formatting of taking out the fill button. Actually, I was repeating the formatting as what I have done in the bar chart. So I will go a little bit faster. So yeah, if let's say you haven't do the formatting, it's okay. It's okay to keep the formatting as the default format first because it won't affect the functionality. Okay, it won't affect the functionality. Formatting is for the overall view. Okay, so if let's say you want to do the formatting at the dashboard, you can always click on that particular dashboard and particular charts and then add chart element. Yeah, you can always freely to do it here. Even like just now, I haven't do the renaming. I can do the renaming here as well. Let's say, yeah, this is the pivot chart underscore revenue by country. Okay. So yeah, you have another, the year is on the top of the chart. How do I present? Okay, if let's say your year is on the top of the chart, most probably is due to the layout. Okay, most probably due to the layout. So you can actually look at the layout to see which layout you are going to have, you would like to have the axis. Okay, you can check it that all of that is actually on the design, on the formatting. Or if let's say you are mentioning about this word year on the top, you can actually freely move it anywhere. Yeah, you can freely move it anywhere. Okay. So yeah, for this thing, I'm actually having it done in the workbook of 04. Okay, 04, pivot table and pivot chart, line chart. Okay, so if let's say you want to start from where I am now, so you can use the 04 pivot table and pivot chart dash line chart. So I'm actually inside the line chart now. Okay. So let me just do all the formatting and the naming. So the naming and formatting can be troublesome to do, but it's important, yeah. Okay, so now next what we are going to do. So next what we are going to do is, yeah, since now our dashboard is having 3 charts, product category, frame size, and country. Next, I'm interested to look at, let's say, the gender. So you have a customer gender of male and female. So now I would like to show the value, the revenue by gender. Okay, by gender. So now a good thing to do is by using a pie chart. Okay, so normally pie chart will be used if let's say you have like less product category and you just want to show the portion one dimension, which is by gender. You don't want to like showing it across different years. So you can actually put it using a pie chart. So our next step is going to do a pie chart. So for those who are who haven't done until here, you can start with the 04. Okay, you can go to the description box in the YouTube. There is a Gdrive. So you click into the Gdrive. We are now at the 04 files. Okay, the 04 pivot table and pivot chart line charts. You can start from there. Okay, so we have one question by country, how you change the axis from year to country. Okay, from year to country, you just need to go to the pivot chart analyze. So, to the design, there is a switch row and column. So you switch row and column, then it will switch accordingly. Okay, so let's go next to the pie chart. So now again, I would like to build a pie chart. I will be using the same method. So again, back to your data worksheet. Okay, at the data worksheet, you are going to have the data here, right? So again, at the table design, okay, you can see that I keep repeating. So at the table design, click on the summarize with pivot table. Okay, click summarize with the pivot table. And then you are going to have this create pivot table, click OK. So you will be having another new worksheet for pivot table number 4. So here we are going to create a pie chart to show the gender, the revenue by gender. So again, what we want is by gender. So customer gender, put it into the row. Okay, you can see that always I want to show revenue by gender, then I will put gender into the row. I want to show customer revenue by country, then I will put the country into the row. So here I want to show the revenue by gender, I will put the gender into the row. And of course, the revenue into the value. Okay, the revenue into the values. Okay, so you are going to generate a pivot table like this for the female and the male. Okay, for the female and the male. And next, what we are going to do is we are going to use a pie chart to show this. So again, click at your pivot table, and at the tab of pivot table analyze, you can see that there is a pivot chart. So click on the pivot chart. So now we are going to use a pie chart. So we are going to use a pie chart. Okay, so to use a pie chart. So a pie chart will be formed here. So you can see that the pie chart now is not really nice yet. It's not really nice yet. No worry, later we are going to format it. Okay, so again, now what I want to format is, first of all, I don't want this button. So same thing at the pivot chart analyze, take out the fill button. Okay, take out deselect the fill button. And then next, at the pie chart, normally there is a title here, right? So the title, I will put revenue by gender. Revenue by gender. And then it's not really nice to have a legend like this because I have only 2 categories. I have only female and male. I don't want to show the legend like this, but rather than that, I would like to show it in the values here. Okay, so what should I do? Okay, sorry. I just select this legend and then I delete it. I just press the delete button at my keyboard to remove it. So now I want to have the legend in my charts. So what can I do is, at the design tab, selecting at the chart, at the design tab, I will add the chart element called data label. So this is particularly for pie chart, okay, for the pie chart. So now it's none. So I will choose it like the center. Okay, I will choose it to appear in the center. So when you choose it appear in the center, you can see that there are some number appearing here. Okay, there are some number appearing here. So let's say now I want to make it into white color. Just some formatting done. I want to make it into white color. And then everything I want to change it into Arial Nova. Okay, and then white color for these 2 things. And then perhaps I don't want to show the number because a number couldn't give me information, clear information. I want to show in percentage and also which one is female, which one is male. Okay, so how to do all this formatting? Right click, format data labels. Okay, right-click format data labels. And then you will see the format data labels appearing at the right-hand side here. Okay, so as default, it will show the value. Value means that, yeah, how many in the total according to your sum of revenue here. But now I want to show the percentage. So you can just tick the percentage. You can see that it's actually there is a comma 49%. So if let's say I just want to show the percentage without the value, can or not? For sure, yes. You just untick this value. Then it will show only percentage. And then you may say that just now I delete the legend. Now I want to show the female and male. So we call it the category name. So you just tick the category name, then it will be showing here. And then if you want to show it, yeah, this one is showing in the next line. So there is a separator. You can choose either a comma or a new line. So my practice, I will be showing in a new line. So let's say this is a new line. And perhaps F is not that straightforward. So I can actually change it by adding EMALE. So I will have the female here. And same goes to the male. So I can have the male here, MALE. Okay, I can actually freely change by basically. I can freely change, and I can even make it larger. Just now was too small, so I want to make it larger. Also can, no problem. So it's basically quite easy and straight for you to change whatever you want to show. So just now, how do I change it is, yeah, first of all, you need to add the data label. Data label is to be added under the design, add chart element, data label. So the position where you want to label it. So I choose the center. And then after choosing it, you will be actually labeling as the value. So say that you want to label it as a percentage. Just right click, format data labels, and then you will see this label option. So at the label option, you can freely choose what you want to name. So let's say I want the category name, which is the male and female. And then I want the percentage instead of value. So I choose the percentage, and then it will show accordingly. And for sure, just now I was showing M and F only. So I want to make it more straightforward. So I will put male and female. I just type in, okay? All right, so this is for the pie chart. So of course, now you can do the naming accordingly. So the naming of the pivot table here, I will put as pivot table underscore revenue by gender. Okay, revenue by gender. So for the pivot chart, I will also put it the name of the pivot chart revenue by gender. Okay, so the naming I'm not actually restricting. I just recommend you can name it accordingly, but that is not a must. Must exactly same with my naming. And of course, for this worksheet name, I will put the pivot underscore revenue by gender so that next time easier for us to do documentation. Okay, so yeah, we have some comments here. Okay, so you can show the value for sure. So you want to show the value, but in millions, right? So you can show the value, but then if let's say you want to change the number, so I think you need to change it in the table, in the pivot table, but not in the pivot chart. So the pie chart, the formatting is giving you freedom whether to choose a pivot, choose a percentage or the value. But if let's say you want to choose the value to show in million, you can actually format it at the at the pivot table here. Okay, so yeah, another way is in the add chart element dropdown, we can choose the data label, data call out. Also can. So the data call out is actually under the chart element from the call out. So call out will be actually like giving you like a extra external. So the element, the text that you want to show inside this thing will be still need to go to the format of the label as labels. Okay, so you take the percentage, but the value is not changing. Most probably is due to just now you have changed it you have typed inside the female and male, you have changed it. So you will need to reset the label first, and then it will show accordingly. Once you manually add it in, then you will need to, it will not act according to the formatting here. Okay, once you manually add something, then it will not react according to here unless you reset the label text. You can click here, reset label text. Okay, so which control key to increase font size or decrease font size? So a increase or decrease font size, right? Okay, there is a technique. So you have to take note on your selection. So when you click once, you can see that both male and female are selected. Then you can actually increase the font size here. Okay, and if let's say you click one more time, then you are only choosing the male. And if let's say you increase or decrease the font size, it will react only for this. Okay, so yeah, depending on which one you are choosing. Okay, because some of the time maybe you want to increase only one category but not both. Okay, so yeah, this is about the pivot, the pie chart. All right, so after you have done the pie chart and done the naming, so you can actually cut it again and then paste it into your dashboard. Okay, paste it into your dashboard. So, okay, so now my dashboard, I have 4 charts here. So later we just do the arrangement. Later we just do the arrangement. Okay, so now we are having 4 charts. Basically, revenue by product category, revenue by frame size, revenue by country, and also revenue by gender. 4 things. And here we include actually 4 different, okay, to be more appropriate, is 3 different type of charts: the bar chart or column charts, the line charts, and also the pie chart. And I would say, yeah, formatting is actually one of the key things to make your dashboard attractive. So next, yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to create something called numbers. Numbers is recently a very popular way to represent your data. So for those who are just joining or who have been left out, you can actually start it by the workbook 05, pivot data, pivot table and pivot chart dash pie chart. Yeah, if let's say you open the 05 pivot table and pivot chart dash pie chart, this workbook will be basically same as what I am having now. Okay. So to get this workbook, you can go to the description box in the YouTube description box. There is a Google Drive access in the description box, and you are able to go in and then take the 05 pivot table and pivot chart dash pie chart. So it will contain all the elements that I have right now. Okay, so let's go next. So next what we are going to do. So now we have the by category, by frame, by country, and by gender. The next thing I want to add in is a number, which is a total revenue. So I'm interested to look at the total revenue. So must we always use a chart to represent our information? It's not necessary a chart. Yeah? So next I'm going to show you how to use numbers. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a total revenue. Just total revenue. There is no by category, by country, just a number that shows the total revenue. So what am I going to do is create a pivot table. Okay, let's go now. Okay, sorry, before getting into it, so there is a question, can show again how to add M and F in the side of the pie chart. Okay, so you need to click on the, M and F here, the data label. Right click, there is a format data label. So you need to check the box of category name. The male and female is a category name. You need to check it. And if let's say it is not react accordingly, you need to reset label text. Click on the reset label text and it will be showing. Okay, so let's go next to show the total revenue. All right, so again, now you need to create another pivot table. So go to the data worksheet. So at the table design, you can click on summarize with pivot table one more time. So now we are going to create another pivot table to show the total revenue. Okay, so now we have reaching our pivot table 5. So you can see that actually naming, now you still cannot see the naming, how it works, right? So later you will see, yeah, now we have already reached the number 5, yeah? Okay, so for this pivot table, we are going to show the total revenue. So to show the total revenue, we do not have any by product category, we do not have by country, we do not have by gender, by frame size, everything, no. So we just want a total revenue. So how do you set up your pivot table will be, just put the revenue into values. Okay, just put the revenue into value, that's all. So this will be the total revenue, because we don't need to split it by whatever category or what. So just a total revenue will do. Okay, so just put the revenue into the values. Okay, so now when you have this sum of the revenue here, this is basically the number we are going to put it into our dashboard. So say that I want another a cell here to show the number. Okay, so now this is what we want to do. Okay, we have some question about the pie chart. Let me answer it later, yeah? So let us do the numbers first. Okay, so now I'm going to move every chart to the lower part so that I'm able to have some space here for me to do the numbers. So now the numbers I want to do is the total revenue. So again, I will do some formatting. Okay, I will do some formatting. So merge, I will do like, let's say this is the numbers I want to show as particularly these places. So I will merge that sales first. So say that I want to show the total revenue. Okay, I just put the total revenue here. And then, of course, formatting is very important. So I will just choose the standardized one. I use Arial Nova just now. And then increase the words. Okay, increase the size of the words. And then for the name, for the values, okay, for the values here, okay, main thing is coming here. How do you link the value of just now the total revenue into your dashboard? Everything is getting easy. You just need to choose this cell, put a equal sign. Okay, put a equal sign. And then go to just now the worksheet that shows the total value. Choose that cells and then press enter. So it will show the value here. So you can see that the formula is get pivot data, from which pivot data is the revenue in the sheet 7. So you can see that now the name of the sheet is quite important, because if let's say you just put it as a sheet 7, then it is not really meaningful. Okay, later we are going to change the worksheet name. So now I get the total revenue here already. Of course, a very good thing to do is the formatting again. So I will change it to a standardized font type that I use, and then increase the font size. Okay, and then perhaps this is the USD, right? So I will just put it as a USD. And then, oh, it's not big enough. So I just merge another one. So to make it big enough. Okay, so just now was having some error like the hash, right? It's because my space is not enough. So I just need to make the space enough or get the size smaller, then it's okay. So the formatting, you can just click on this account, the font number here. So just put it as the $sign. Okay, since now we are using the $sign. And then to put this better, normally I will put it aligned in the vertical. Okay, put it aligned at the vertical, and then put some formatting. Okay, let's say a formatting like this for my total revenue. So this is how we do it for numbers. Okay. All right, so I will show one more time for the total revenue. Okay, I will show it one more time for the total revenue. So for pivot table, we need a pivot table to show the total revenue. So you just go to the data and then summarize as the pivot table. And you will be going to a new pivot table. You will just need to drag the revenue into the value, because now we don't want to split it into any other. Okay, so just put the revenue inside, and then you will see the sum of revenue here. next thing is you will need to go to the dashboard. Yeah, say that you want to place your total revenue at this part. So you just put an equal sign. Okay, just press the equal sign and then go to your pivot table just now and then click on the cell that you want to use the pivot table. And then you are going to see the numbers coming out here. Then the rest is just formatting. Increase the font size and then change the font type, and then perhaps you give some colors on it and so on. Okay, and of course, next I will rename the pivot table name to be pivot table underscore total revenue. Okay, and same to the worksheet. Worksheet name, I will name it the sheet 7, will name it to the pivot total revenue. Okay. So yeah, you are able to see that now, in the numbers, it will be linked to the pivot underscore total revenue. So we know that this is actually the total revenue. Okay. So we have, okay, so this is how you get the numbers. So our next step will be doing the filter. So interactive dashboard. Now you can see that our total revenue, our revenue by product category, all these are standalone. Standalone means that if let's say I would like to see, for each country, what is the product category sales, the revenue by product category and so on, I am unable to see by each country. So later we are going to add something called a slicer. Okay, slicer. So the slicer can help us to work accordingly. Okay, this is our next step. But before we go to the next step, I would like to actually answer some questions. So just now we have the question of pie chart. So how to get the percentage into the pie chart? So to get the percentage into the pie chart, you will need to, same thing, right click at the data labels and then tick this percentage box. Okay, tick this percentage box. And then, just now you want to switch the column and row. So I guess it's referring to this revenue by country, right? So you want to switch the data for the column and row. So if let's say you are unable to do it at the design, you can just freely drag here and there. Yeah, you can just freely drag across the axis and legend. It will be the same thing. All right. Thanks. Thanks for your answer. And can we have multiple pivot and multiple pivot chart from the same sheet instead of having so many sheets? Yes, you can. You can put a pivot table in, different pivot table in one worksheet. For sure you can do it. So why I put it in new sheet is just my practices. So if let's say you want to put it in the same worksheet, you can do it, but I will encourage you not to put too near. Why? If let's say you have another pivot table here, let me just show example. So let's say now I want to put another total cost, okay, on the same pivot table. So everyone, you don't need to follow me. I just demo on the question asked for the multiple pivot table. So you can always add the data, add the pivot table. So where you want to choose is, instead of new worksheet, you can choose the existing worksheet, and then where is the location, you can actually click on this button and then go to, let's say I want to put it somewhere here. Since this one, I have only one sum of revenue, right? So say that I want to put it somewhere here, okay? So I would be choosing here and press enter. So I click OK. The pivot table will actually show on the side. So you will be having less worksheet. You are correct. But then be careful on something is, if let's say now say that I have the total cost inside here already, sum of total cost. Suddenly the revenue, I want to do it, let's say by subcategory in the column. You can see that some error will be coming out. So what is the error telling you is, because now we have another pivot table beside the sum of revenue. And just now what I did was I dragged the category into column. The space is not enough. That's why it says cannot overlap, the error will be coming out. This is why at this workshop, I would advise you to put everything, put everything in each table, each pivot table in each worksheet first. So normally we will put it in a new worksheet. And after that, whenever we have finalized, okay, we have finalized our dashboard, we just document it accordingly. So if you, let's say you want to, later you want to put this pivot table, I can cut it and then put it beside here also can, no problem. Okay, so you can put it side by side. Just that to be take note, if you put it side by side, it might be overlap and it cannot be working. So like just now, yeah, I want to add the, if let's say I want to add the product category to the column, I couldn't do so because it will be overlap. Unless I move this pivot table to the very side and then I add the product category into the columns, then it will work. Okay, because it cannot be overlapped. So this is, yeah, the reason why just now I didn't, just now I used each pivot table for each worksheet. All right. Okay, so yeah, now if let's say you are just entering, you can go to the description box. There is a Gdrive. So we are now at the step number 7. Okay, number 6, sorry. So we are at the step number 6. We have completed the numbers. So just now we have completed to add in these numbers. Okay, so you can open up the step number 6 numbers to have exactly almost the same thing that I'm having now. So have 1 numbers with 4 charts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 charts. Okay, so next, the important things coming now is we are going to add something called slicer. And slicer is a thing that can make every chart interactively. So now your total revenue, your revenue by product category, by frame size, all these are standalone. So I want to make them interact by using slicer. How to do it? Okay, so now let's get alive with your dashboard. Huh? Okay, go to now we do not really need any pivot table already because every information has been shown. So you can click on any of the pivot chart, Okay, so at the top here, there is a pivot chart analyze. Okay, under the pivot chart analyze, you can see that there is an insert slicer. Okay, insert slicer. Click on the insert slicer. And say that now I want to make this product category to be able to filter by country, because currently it only show according to product category and also here I do not have the country here. So let's say I want to insert a slicer of country. So you just tick on the country. Okay, just tick on the country and press OK. So now you can see that there is something like this. We call it slicer coming out. So the slicer shows the 6 countries that we have. Okay, show the 6 countries that we have. So you can see that now all the 6 countries are being selected. Blue color is selected by default. And then if let's say I select France, yeah, you can see that it now showing me the sales, the revenue of France, the revenue of United Kingdom, the sales of the revenue for Australia and so on. So now you can see that I'm able to control the revenue by product category using country slicer. Okay, using country slicer. Of course, I can have multiple selection by click on this small icon. So I can choose multiple selection, meaning to say that now I'm showing the revenue by product category for Australia, France, and United Kingdom. So now you can see that your chart for revenue by product category is lively now, interactively. So let me repeat again how I add the slicer. Okay, let me repeat again how I add the slicer. So I will just delete this first. Okay, so select any of the pivot charts. So now I'm selecting the revenue by product category. So at the top menu bar, there is a pivot chart analyze. Okay, so click on the pivot chart analyze. There is an insert slicer at the filter here, insert slicer. So click at the insert slicer. Now, what am I going to do is I'm going to filter according to country. So I will check the box for the country, click OK. Okay, click OK. So the slicer will be coming out. And you can see that the slicer will be working accordingly for this revenue by product category. And next, what we are going to do is, of course, the formatting is important. So where should I put this slicer? So normally I will put it on the top. Okay, I will put it on the top. Okay, so let's say, yeah, I want to put it on the top, but then it's not really nice here. So can I put it into 2 columns? The answer is for sure, yes, you can put it into 2 columns. So where to do it? So when you click on this slicer, select the slicer. On the top here, you can see there is a slicer tab. Okay, there is a slicer tab. So now you can actually adjust the formatting at here. So now I increase a column into 2. So it will be arranged in 2 columns, which is a nicer way. So I will keep it as a slicer with the column 2 columns. Okay. And then the next thing that I will be changing is the slicer is just showing country. Maybe it's not informative enough. So I want to change it into like, please select a country. So where can you change this thing? It will be same thing on the slicer tab. Left-hand side, there is a slicer caption. So you can put here, let's say, please select country. Okay, please select country. So it will change accordingly. And perhaps you want to do some formatting about the slicer. You don't want the blue color. You prefer red color. You prefer orange color or gray color. Okay, so you can change the default formatting here. As for the self-defined formatting, you can always duplicate here. Okay, so currently at this slicer style are the default formatting. If let's say you want to change the font size, font type or whatever, you can duplicate it and then you name it as my slicer. Let's say my slicer style. And then I want to format it to let's say Arial Nova again. Okay, Arial Nova again. And then let's say I don't like to have the border. Okay, then I take out all the border. Okay, and then for sure currently you haven't changed it. You just need to click here and then it will change to Arial Nova and then there is no border. Okay, so this is for the slicer formatting. Okay, I repeat again for the slicer formatting because it's not that straightforward. So you can see that before that, my slicer looked like this. Okay, look like this. And maybe I'm not that like it because there is a border and then the font type I want to change, let's say. So how do I change this? Yeah, you can select the slicer and then on the top menu bar, there is a slicer tab. So at the slicer tab, these are actually at the slicer styles, there are a lot of slicer style here. So these are actually the default slicer style. So say that I want to change it. So how do you change it is either you make a new slicer style, but then that one will be starting from scratch. It will be very troublesome. So normally what I do is I will choose the slicer that I prefer the most, but then I just do a minor changes. So what I do is just at the slicer here, right click, duplicate. Okay, right click, duplicate. And then I name it as, let's say, my slicer light number 2. Okay, just name it accordingly. This name is not really important. And then you can see that actually there are a few different slicer elements. So for the whole slicer, I would like to change the everything with the wording. So I click on the format. Okay, I click for the format. Yeah, so for certain version, you might get different names on the slicer. So could be options. Yes, thank you for send. Okay, so you can choose at the format. So there are 3 tabs here for the format. You can either choose the font, the size, the font type, and so on. And you can choose whether you want the border, what type of the border lines you want, and then the fill color. So for the one that I change it to Arial Nova and also without any models. And then you can click OK down here. Okay, you can click OK down here. So of course, after you click OK and this OK, nothing will be changed to your slicer yet because you are just creating a new slicer format. So what you need to do is selecting on this slicer and you can take note. On the top, there is another my slicer style right one. The one that you created just now. Okay, the one you created just now, you just need to click at here and then it will change according to just now what I want. So just now I changed to Arial Nova and then there is no borderline. Okay, there is no borderline. So this is what I have just now. Okay, so yeah, this is the slicer for country. So for sure now, when you look at this slicer for country, like it is not yet good enough because it only reacts according to the bar chart here. So when I choose France, I choose Germany, then it doesn't really reflect on the other charts. So what to do if, let's say, I want to react on the other charts also, and also this total revenue? Okay, now it's a time that you can see the importance of the naming. Okay, everyone, you can select at the slicer and go to the top slicer here. Okay, you can see that there is a connection, report connection. Okay, click on the report connection. And then you will see this box. Okay, report connection. So what is the report connection? Report connection meaning to say that which pivot table you want to react with this slicer. Currently, it's only product by revenue by product category, is because just now we create the slicer based on this pivot table. So next, let's say I also want it to be react according to the total revenue. So I will take this total revenue. Okay, and then I want it also for frame size, gender, and country to react together with this slicer. So you can imagine if, let's say, just now you do not name it accordingly and you have over 10 tables, then it will be very difficult for you to choose. Because maybe, yeah, by country, maybe I don't want to react accordingly because already by country, not important for me to react, so I can uncheck it. So the naming is important in a way. If, let's say, later, like right now, we want to put all these slicer, it's very important. Okay, so you can click OK. So after you report the connection, you can see that now whenever I choose only one, all the charts will be changed accordingly. Okay, all the charts including the chart below, the pie chart will be changed accordingly, and also the country chart will all be changed accordingly. Okay, so this is being done by clicking at the slicer, report connection. Or you can right click and then report connection, same thing. So it's either at the slicer tab, report connection, or right click, report connection. Okay, so yeah, you can have some trials. And let me look at the comment chats here. So yeah, you are asking whether can be used in the presentation slides. Okay, so the presentation slides is, if let's say you are using PowerPoint, so this one couldn't be imported to the PowerPoint yet. But then, yeah, depending, if let's say you in the PowerPoint you are importing object, then okay. But if let's say you are pasting some picture, then cannot. You must import as object, then okay. And yeah, can we make the title change with the country name? You mean this one, right? This one, you can do it only with the VBA. You need to involve some VBA to change this. The Visual Basic. So can you show where is the slicer setting? Okay, I think just now I show it already. It's on the top in the slicer. So maybe yours, your version name it as option, depending on the version. Or you can just right click and then slicer setting also can. Okay, right click slicer setting also can. Okay, so yeah, hope you are playing well with the slicer. And of course, now this one is only for the country. I want to add another slicer, let's say for years. I'm also interested to know about each year, what will be the frame size and also the gender, correct? Because year is only showing in the revenue by product category and the country. So let's say now I want to show according to year for total revenue and product by the revenue by frame size and revenue by gender. Okay, so now let's us add the slicer for year. So I will be adding starting from the frame size. Okay, so same thing, go to the pivot chart analyze, insert slicer. So now I'm going to insert for year. Okay, I'm going to insert for year and click OK. So the year slicer is coming up. Okay, so all right, so we have two questions about slicer here. Can you repeat how you make the slicer 3 times 3 tiles? Yeah, later I will show using the year slicer. And also, yeah, report connection. Yeah, later I will repeat again the report connection for the year as well. Okay, so first of all, the slicer setting. Now the slicer is working accordingly to this revenue by frame size only. So later I will make it interact with the total revenue and also the gender. But then it's the second step. First step, let's do the setting. Let's do the slicer setting. So to make it into 2 columns like what we have in the country, what you can do is at the top here, slicer, there is a columns. You can increase to 2 or 3 accordingly. Okay, 2 or 3 accordingly. Or if let's say you don't have this tab, you can right click slicer setting. Okay, slicer setting, and yeah, let me check when you right click, yeah. Okay, so if let's say you do not have this slicer at the top, you can right click size and properties. So at the size and properties, you can expand the position and layout. Okay, position and layout. The number of columns is under the position and layout. So you can increase the columns here. Or to be faster, more straightforward, will be at the top here, the buttons. Okay, column 1, L2, then it will act accordingly. And of course, you need to resize it. Okay, you can resize it. Okay, so, and if let's say now you want to change the format, so you do not need to do it again for the format. You just choose the format that you have preset just now. Just click on it, and then it will set according to your format. Okay, so next, how to do the report connection. So 2 ways to do the report connection. So first, you just click on the slicer at the top slicer here. Click on this report connection. Or you can right click report connection. Okay, both are the same thing. So I click on the report connection, there will be a list of tables coming out. Okay, a list of tables coming out. So these are basically all my pivot table. Okay, all my pivot table. Okay, all my pivot table. So let's say now this is year. So I don't want to react to all. I just want to react to the total revenue by country. Don't need, because the revenue by country already is a timeline, right? So it's having the year, so I don't want to react with that. By frame size, yes, because this one I do not have the year. So by gender is a pie chart, yes, I want to react it. For product category, basically no need, because I already show the years here. And for the total revenue, yes, I want it. So only three pivot table to be react with the year. So yeah, this is where the naming is important. Instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we can clearly see what are them. Okay, and then click OK. So after you click OK, you can play with your slicer. So 2015, 2018, then your total revenue and the gender shall be act accordingly already. So something to talk about, formatting also. Now the year, I want to change it to, please select a year. Also, you can go to the top slicer. There is a slicer caption, you can change it here. Or you can right click slicer setting. Okay, right click, there is a slicer setting. And then in the slicer setting, you can see that there is a caption. So I can change it at here, it will be also the same. So let's say I put please select here. And then click OK, it will be showing please select here. Okay. And something to talk about slicer. So you can see that there are 2 small buttons here. So what are these 2 small buttons? For the rightmost is the clear filter, meaning to say that if I clear filter, then everything will be selected. And the one before the clear filter is the multi-select. Multi-select means that if let's say I didn't put on the multi-select, each time I choose will be only choosing one. If let's say I want to choose multiple, I can click on the multi-select and then I can keep adding on. So this is the multi-select. Okay, so yeah, the slicer function, multi-select and the clear filter. Okay, so now basically we have built up our interactive dashboard. Okay, interactive dashboard. So we will, this one, just for your information, this one will be completed in the Excel workbook 07, interactive dashboard dash slicer. So if you open up the interactive dashboard dash slicer, you will be getting a similar things that I'm having now. Okay, so a few questions before we go into the last stage, the final touch-up, the very important thing, because now you can see that although we have the dashboard done, but then it's not that nice yet because there is no dashboard header, there is no formatting and so on. So later we are going to do the final touch-up. So before going to that, let me answer some questions. So how to change the text country to please select country? Okay, just now I showed it already. So it's under the slicer caption, or you can right click slicer setting. insert here. All right. Okay. Next question. Can we have additional button for the slicer to show all counter instead of choose one? I think this one I also explained just now is by using multi-select. Okay, by using multi-select, then you can choose multiple selection. If let's say you just want to choose one, then you untick the multi-select, then it will be choosing one. If you want to multiple selection, then you check this. Okay. So how to export the slicer custom format so they're able to use at another desktop? Okay, so slicer custom format will be exported whenever you transfer this workbook. So if let's say you want to use this slicer format for all, okay, for all, then you can click on modify and then set default slicer for this document. Or if let's say you want to set it to all of your Excel workbook, right? You need to actually go to the file options to set it. Yeah. So you need to go to the file option to set it. Okay. So how to remove the slicer table line? So slicer table line, I think you mean the border, is it? Like mine, I do not have the line. So if let's say you are talking about this, then it's actually at the whole slicer format. Then I just take out all the lines. Just now was like this, so I just take out all the lines. Okay, it's like how you set it for the Excel workbook formatting. And then how can we change the position of year in the slicer? Or you mean this, please select year, you want to put it somewhere else. Yeah, sorry, this one is already by default. So the slicer is by default in a way the caption will be placed here. And also the values, the categories will play beneath. The formatting that you can change is actually those colors and also borders and so on. Okay. So yeah, can you oh, okay, sorry, I misunderstood. Like 2015 below is 2016. Or you want it to be horizontal but not vertical. You want it to be vertical but not horizontal, right? And let me have a try. Yeah, this one. Okay. I think that one is also by default. Yeah. Okay. So can you explain the pivot table overlapping error? Just now the one, right? Okay, I will explain this again after we completed everything. Okay, after we completed everything. So I keep this to be explained later. And then so since that we have two slicers now, are these two slicers interactive with each other? I would say two slicers will be interactive with just now the connection that we report to. So they will not be interactive with each other because they are independent. Year is year, country is country. But then like for example, now if let's say I choose only Germany 2019, so the frame size will only show the data for Germany and year 2019. This chart will be react according to both of the slicer. Okay. So how to duplicate slicer? Normally, we do the slicer by adding slicer. We don't normally duplicate it. We will just add it because you are going to choose which field you want to put in the slicer after insert slicer. So normally, we just add it. Okay, so how to create a total revenue? Let me put this question at the end also. How to create a total revenue? This one, right? So I will repeat this again at the end. Okay. So how to remove the border line? Yeah. So yeah, the year slicer can change it to column of 3. Yeah, you can change it to the column of 3. It will be the slicer will be arranged in horizontal. That means that yeah, 2015, 2016, 2017, and so on. So how to remove the borderline? Borderline is on the slicer style. Right click, modify, and then format, and then that if let's say you just click inside, there will be font. You have to change it to the borders and then untick these borders. Okay, so multiple selection can be done by holding control button. Yes, you are right. If let's say, the question is, just now we are talking about multiple selection, then we will click this and then click multiple selection. Or another way is actually you can click on the Australia, let's say, press the control button and then click Germany. It will do multiple selection as well. Both are okay. Both are okay. Okay. Yeah, slicer is indeed a very interesting. I mean, if let's say without slicer, it would just be pivot charts. It would just be charts. But then with the slicer, you can see that, everything become interactive. And slicer is introduced after the version of 2010 only. Before that, we do not have this. Okay, so I think let's move next to the last part, which is we want to do the final touch-up. So final touch-up, normally we will do a formatting again. So what I will do normally is I will add in the logo of the company. So if you notice in the Google Drive, I add in the logo. It's a self-made logo there. So you can also copy that logo, and then let's say I just want to put it somewhere here. Give me a moment to copy the logo. Okay, so let's say I have a logo here of my company, Bicycle. So I will just put everything in the position. So say that, the chart, I want to view it at a glance. I don't want to scroll down and scroll up. I want to view it at a glance. And then let's say I want to rearrange because the frame size is only want to see when I want to focus on the bytes. So I will put it down. Then the revenue by country, I will put it somewhere in the middle. And then the gender, revenue by gender, I will make it smaller. Okay, so say that this is the position. And then, of course, I want to add some title for my dashboard. Okay, so let's say I want to add my dashboard for the title for my dashboard. So let's say it's a bicycle and then revenue dashboard. Let's say just a sample. And then, of course, you need to do some formatting. And then standardize it, bold it. Okay, so this is my thing. And then one more interesting thing is, a lot of the time we don't want to see the grid line behind because it might be it's too messy. So I don't want the grid line behind. So what can you do is you can go to the view, and then go to the view, there is a grid line. You just untick it, and then your things will become clean. Okay, it will become clean. So now you can see that, I have the slicer that react accordingly, and then I can choose multiple, and then I can choose the different years to show the difference total revenue and so on. And then, just now what I did to remove the grid line is at the view, just untick the grid line. And if let's say you want to view it as a whole, you can just actually unpin it. Okay, just unpin it. Okay, so this is basically what I would like to share to everyone for the interesting slicer and also the interactive dashboard. So let me do some summary. So first of all, the first thing that I come across is format as table. Format as table is indeed a very good to use tools whenever you want to manage larger data sets, because it will react accordingly, especially when you want to input some new columns, and also when you want to do the pivot table and so on. So the second thing is the pivot table and pivot chart. So pivot table and pivot chart is something very good to use because you are able to freely add in the summary. You want to summarize by what? By columns and by gender and so on. It's very good to use. So second is make use of the pivot table and pivot chart. Third thing, the formatting. You can see that if let's say I didn't do any formatting, let's say I didn't do the formatting, I just put in all few buttons, it's going to be not so nice. Not so nice in a way, it looks messy. It looks messy. And even like, for example, there is a borderline here. I can also take out the borderline. Okay, I can also take out the borderline and it will look even cleaner. So how do we actually design a dashboard is we want to make it look clean and tidy. Okay, that's why formatting is very important. Number 4, interactive dashboard. Make use of the slicer. Okay, make use of the slicer, adding in the pictures and make everything interactive. So with this thing, next time when you want to present your data, so you don't need to like for example, I want to look at the Australia, then I need to copy and paste the Australia data and then do it one time. You can just make use of the slicer to do the filtering. And it's actually indeed very good to use. Yeah, very good to use. So yeah, thank you very much for everyone. So please stay on because later I will explain again for the questions that you asked. And of course, yeah, thanks everyone again. And yeah, please, I need a help from you all. Yeah, so we will be having this free workshop and free talks every month for a free talks, and also every 2 months for a free workshop like this. So if let's say, yeah, you are able to share what are the topics, okay, what are the topics you would like to have in the talks or in the workshop, you can always comment that below this video. So we will actually take note and arrange accordingly. Okay, so yeah, would like your help to actually put down what you are looking for the next workshop or next talk. So thank you very much for participating in this workshop. So and last but not least, please do not forget to follow and like and subscribe our social media. So the link are available in the description box. And yeah, please stay on. Yeah, so we will answer some questions on the slicer and also just now the total revenue, right? Okay, so if let's say you have no more questions, really thanks for your time to enter this workshop. Yeah, so for those who have questions, yeah, you may stay on. And of course, you are able to see view back this video again after this. So it might take a few hours to get the video ready, yeah? So after that, you can always go back to our YouTube channel and then look at the video. Okay, thank you everyone, and hope that you enjoy the workshop. And thanks for staying with us. So thanks. All right. Okay, so now I will be looking back to your questions about slicer. Yeah, give me a moment to share my Excel worksheet. Okay, thanks everyone. Okay, so let me go back to the Excel. Yeah, I think most of you have a few common questions that I can see. Give me a moment to check back your questions, yeah? Okay, so first of all, will be the slicer format of the borders. Okay, so for slicer format of the borders, you can go to the slicer tab, slicer style. So just now you're already able to change the font, right? So you just right click modify. If let's say you are unable to click the modify, meaning to say that you are still in the default format, you can see that there are default format which you are unable to modify. So you need to duplicate one. Okay, you need to duplicate one to become your own defined format, just that you are able to do the formatting. Okay, so you can duplicate one, and then at the whole slicer, click on the format. When you click on the format, you should be able to see 3 tabs: font, border, and field. For the font, is the font type, font size, and so on. And then for the borders, yeah, it should be like having the 4 lines like this, a blue color. So if let's say you don't want the borders, you just click it to remove. Okay, you just click it to remove. Okay, and then click OK. And then of course you haven't choose that. So the one that you created will be appearing right on the slicer style. So previously it will be something like this. So you need to go to the slicer style that you created, click on it, then it will form accordingly. Yeah, it will remove the borders. So this is how you remove the borders. Okay, so next question is about the total revenue. So how do we change the total revenue here? So the total revenue, I'm actually having it by using the data. Okay, by using the data, and then create the pivot table. Okay, create the pivot table. And then, yeah, I'm actually just dragging the revenue into values. So it will show the total revenue. And after that, you would like to move this into your dashboard, right? So you can go to the dashboard, and then at the place where you want to put this number, the formatting, I have already done it earlier. So if you want to put this number, you just put the equal sign. Okay, put an equal sign, and then go to just now the pivot total revenue. Click on this. Okay, pivot total revenue. Click on this number and press enter. And then it will be showing, okay, the value will be showing at your total revenue here. All right. And then next question. So expand about the overlapping, the pivot overlapping. Yeah, just now I'm because someone asked about, can I have two pivot table in one worksheet? Yes, you can. But then the problem is it might be overlap. For example, now my pivot table for sum of revenue is doing this, right? So let's say I want to add the column, says the year. I want to add it into the column. So by right, if let's say I do not have this total cost, I'm able to get it into the year, into the column, and it will show something like this. It will be working fine. But then what happens if, let's say, I have already put another pivot table beside? So if let's say I have put another pivot table inside, and then I want to move the year into column, an error will be coming out because it doesn't have enough space to put the year. Okay, it do not have enough space to put the year. That's why it will be having some errors. So my advice for this is, normally when we do this, right, we don't really put side by side. So unless already until the end, you already confirm what are the information you want to show, then you just arrange accordingly. Okay, so I think these are the 3 questions that I haven't answered just now. So please remind me again if let's say I left out any question. Yeah, let me just check through. Okay, so if every month we have a new report and same data and columns, can we replace and all pivots work accordingly? Okay, so every month, if let's say you have a new data, right? So for example, every month you have a new data, you can just replace or edit the data at here. Or my suggestion is you can link to another Excel file which keep your raw data, and then you can come to this table and then refresh this table. Okay, refresh this table and go to any pivot table to refresh all. Okay, to refresh all, then everything will be refreshed together, including the dashboard. Including the dashboard will be refreshed together. As long as your data is refreshed, then everything will be refreshed. Okay, so let's look at the question again. Okay, about the e-certificate. Yeah, sorry, this is a free talk and free workshop. We do not issue the e-certificate. Yeah, sorry for that. So we just treat it as a sharing. Okay, so another question: filter connection of the slicer. I'm not really get what is the filter connection. I guess is it the report connection? So if let's say it's a report connection, then it's like, what are the tables that you would like to interact with this slicer? Then you just tick it. This is the report connections. Okay. Okay, so can change the slicer select by year to a combo box. Okay, actually, I would say the interactive thing is not only done by slicer. Slicer is only one of the things that we are able to use. Actually, there are a lot more. So the one that you mentioned about the drop-down list, yes, you can do, but that is not using slicer only. So that one, yeah, you can actually explore more about how to build interactive dashboard using Excel. Yes. Okay, so next question. So if let's say I want to make pivot table by age. Oh, okay, so you are looking at the data that is age, right? So making pivot table by age, how to format the age axis to age range type. Okay, so I guess that you are talking about, like, for example, the age is actually from 17 to 87. I want to make it into a range like below 30, 30 to 50, above 50. So you will need to create another column, okay, called the age group. So let's say I have another age group, and then I will need to input some formula. So if let's say it's less than 30, so I will put it as less than 30. Okay, or else I will check if let's say is less than 50, then I will put it 30 to 30 to 50. Okay, and then or else it will be like more than 50. Okay, let's say 3 groups. So you will need to actually put some grouping here and then draw the pivot table according to this column. All right. If let's say you want a pivot table by age group. Okay, so if copy this into the PowerPoint, will the slicer still work? If let's say present in PowerPoint, you need to you need to input it as an object, not a picture. If let's say you insert it as a picture, so copy it as a picture, then it will not work unless you put it in as an object. Okay. All right. So yeah, I think I covered most of the questions already. So yeah, thanks everyone again for staying until now. So yeah, for sure you can explore more about the Excel visualization and also all these techniques. So it will be very good for us to actually, it's actually very good for us to make use of Excel, since that I believe this is a very everyone can do tools. So again, thanks a lot for everyone. So anything you can actually contact us through our social media, or you can actually email me. So let me just share our email at the chat box there. Okay, so you can, if let's say you have any inquiry, you can actually share it to our emails, or you can actually search for our social media and then message us. Okay, PM us. All right. Okay, so if you have any questions, you can also comment below here, and we will take note and answer accordingly. So last but not least, do not forget to actually subscribe us and follow us. So if we have any free talks or workshop later on, you will be receiving notification. And of course, if let's say you would like to have what kind of workshop, please do let us know. Please comment below and then do let us know what you would like to have in our next free talks or free workshop. So we will be having a talk series every month called the Tea Time Data Series, and also we'll be having the workshops every 2 months once, like this. Okay, and we will be sharing some general things in our Facebook as well for every week. So I think that's all for me. Thank you very much for your time for today. Okay. So I have one question here. Let me just answer the last question. Okay, last question for this live. So why the total revenue in dashboard need to link to another worksheet just for the total revenue? Why can't directly to the dashboard itself? This is my best practice. So if let's say you just put the pivot table into the dashboard, you can do this, but then the problem is very hard to do the formatting. First thing. So normally the formatting and also the content, I will put it in different way. So pivot table is basically to generate the content, and the formatting, I will actually put it in the dashboard. Okay. So thank you, everyone. So thanks everyone, and stay safe for this moment in the pandemic. Okay, so see you again next time. So bye-bye.